So you want to start collecting comic books? Well, hopefully I can help. Hey comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0, and fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to bring you this informative video. That's right. Now, I don't normally do these, but I do get this question asked a lot to me, and that question is, Mike, I want to start reading comic books. Where do I begin? What series is good for me to read? Okay? So before we get into it, I want to sit there and say, to the audience out there, how I got into comic books, and I'll kind of use my example to help you guys. Okay, so first things first, when I first started collecting comic books, I was young. I was like 15 years old, limited money. There's 1,000 comic books at that time. There's record sales being done in the 90s. Where do you start? Okay, my thing was, number one, who is a character that I can relate to the most? Well, at that time, and this is a gateway for a lot of comic book readers, and that's Spider-Man, because Peter Parker is a very relatable character. That's why the character means so much to so many people, because he's one of the first heroes that you ever read. So for me, why I got attached to Spider-Man so early is because I used to watch the cartoons. I used to watch Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. And so when I went to the comic book store, I said, wow, what can I actually read that I might read every month? And when I went to the spinner rack, I saw Spider-Man. Now, does it hurt that Todd McFarlane, at the time, when I first started reading Spider-Man, was the artist? So right away, that artwork just blew me away, and it got me attracted even more to the character. When Eric Larson took over after Todd McFarlane, that was the first book that I bought monthly with my own money, okay? So I just started reading Spider-Man. Anything Spider-Man that came out, I read because I love the character. Now, the next thing, how did I get into all the other books? Well, I used Spider-Man as that gateway, like I said. When other characters made its appearance into the comic book, I sat there and said, wow, that character looks really cool. Now, I'm going to check out his comic book. So for instance, say Wolverine teamed up with Spidey, okay? And you sat there and go, wow, well, Wolverine has his own title, and he's also in the X-Men. So maybe I'll check out Wolverine and the X-Men. And that's what kind of leads you into other books, okay? And that's what it did for me, all right? Next thing is you want to sit there and possibly read an event. So at that time, Infinity War came out, and I was just like, or Infinity Gauntlet, and I was like, oh man, I'm going to check this out. So now you're reading this event that affects the entire Marvel U, and you're kind of get to know a little bit about all these characters, and again, they interest you, and you might want to check out other books, okay? When I left comics for a little while and got back to it in about 2007, 2008, I used that same formula, okay? I sat there and said, what am I going to read first? Well, I'm going to read Spider-Man, because I read a lot of Spider-Man in the past. I know a lot about the character. I love the cartoons, so I jumped into that. Read Spider-Man, saw other characters. I sat there and said, okay, cool. I'm going to check out this character, and this character. Then, at that particular time, Civil War was going on. And I'm like, wow, that's the major event that's going on in the universe at this particular point in time. So I'm like, I'm going to read that event, and I'm going to see what's going on with all these characters. And if any of these other characters interest me, I'm going to pick up some of these other books within the universe. So that is the formula that I did there, okay? And I used the same thing. Now, another thing that can help you as well is the way comics are structured these days. I feel that it's very new reader friendly. For us old school readers, okay, we were always used to the numbers, right? 1 through 50, 50 through 100, 100, 150, 200. And it shows you how long a comic book was around. Spider-Man was up to issue 800 when you have the legacy numbering. But if you, as a new reader, saw that it's at issue 750, how do you even start? Where do you jump on? Where do you begin? And so there was always these different theories and things like that But I think at the end of the day, a lot of these comic book companies have said, why don't we just write a volume and start over from number one? So then this way it's new reader friendly. And so I think that's what helps new readers as well. So let's go back. Where do you begin? Start with a character that you might think that interests you. If you buy 50 comics, right away you might feel overwhelmed to read those 50 comics. Read one comic. Figure out a character that you've always liked or maybe interests you, whether it's from a cartoon in today's standards, whether it's from the movies. Pick that book. Read that comic for a little bit. Find out if there's other occurring members or, supporting cast that might interest you to maybe pick up another book. If there's an event going on, whether it's DC or Marvel, go ahead, check that out. Check that event out. Start from number one and read it. So then this way you get familiar more with the entire universe. Check it out, okay? And then the next thing is jump on at a new number one point, because that's always a good jumping on point for new readers that haven't read that particular volume before. Now, if you're not interested in superhero books, well, you got a lot of other things out there, which are the independent books from Image Comics and maybe Dark Horse and IDW and things of that nature. So if you're looking for not the superhero type of books or maybe a horror genre, more adult-oriented type of books, you might want to check that out. And you might have to pick and choose what story you might like there. But the cool thing about most of the time when it comes to the independent books, a lot of the runs don't last very long. Or if you just want to dive headfirst into a character, I'd say go pick up a trade or omnibus and you can start reading about a particular character there. But there's so many different ways. But truly, the first thing is don't overwhelm yourself, because then you'll get turned off by reading, okay? Pick one book, enjoy it for what it is, understand what comics are, and just go out there and read. That's it. Now, if you're doing it for collectability reasons to make money, that's a whole other video in itself. But here, hopefully, is some tips to get you into collecting comic books and not feel overwhelmed. Just go out there, read one book at a time. So guys, hopefully this has helped. Leave in the comments below if it has. And I want to know, for the viewers of my channel that have been watching a long time, how did you get into collecting comic books? Did you dive head first in and bought 50 of them? Did you just start with one character? Maybe who was that character? And guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to that channel. Don't forget to hit that bell. And until that next comic book review, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. And you've been watching Comic Book Corner 2.0. Take care, guys. I'll see you real soon. Bye.